leg strength, stability, and mobility are really important. And we're going to look at building leg strength in a little bit of a different way. We usually talk about quadriceps or hamstrings or glutes when we talk about leg strength, and those are important. But sometimes what gets overlooked is those outside of the legs, the outer line, and especially, let's say, glute med, these outer hip muscles. And so this tutorial, this little lesson is going to talk all about that and help improve this important outside of your hip joint strength. Because when we can really strengthen the outside of the hip joints, well, guess what's going to improve? Your hip joints, right? Your hip joints are going to be more stable and more happy in the long run. I'm Bree Johnson of Heart and Bones Yoga, and I'm here sharing movement, love, and knowledge with you. And if you enjoy all these lessons, classes, tutorials, press subscribe, press the little notification button right by that subscribe button, because you will actually get notified every time I put in a new video, and that should be more or less each week. So press that little notifications after you press the subscribe button. Are you ready? Let's do this. Now, the first thing that we want to do is just go into the hands and the knees. So we're going to go into our hands and knees and start to become aware of the lateral hip muscles. We're going to become aware of what do they feel like? How can we start to wake them up and engage them? The first thing that we're going to do with it is just having your hands underneath your shoulders, and then we're going to lift our right leg up. And we're going to lift the right leg up, and if I just let my right leg lift all the way up like so, what I'm actually doing is moving my lower back and my pelvis. So let's refine that movement. And what I mean by refining that movement is not letting the pelvis lift, and you're going to lift just your leg. So I'm going to get resistance here. Pelvis doesn't move. I'm trying to lift my foot a little higher, but if I don't let that pelvis move, I start to say hello to my butt, my glutes, hamstrings, everything. So there we start to get that waking up. And then let's externally rotate. So you're going to bring your knee out to the side with trying to not move your pelvis, and then hold that there for a moment, and then bring your knee back in. And then rotating, so you're externally rotating in your hip joint. Keep that activation of the muscles around your hip joint, all those little external rotators, and then internally rotate your leg back. One more time, rotate. This is a small little movement. There's not a lot of stuff going on, all right? But at the same time, there is a lot of stuff going on here. And then release. Nice. And then we'll do that to the other side, and I'm just going to show this on the front just for another view for you. I'm going to bring your leg up. Try not to let your pelvis lift. So you won't be able to see my leg right now, but now I'm going to externally rotate it out to the side and then in. So you can see in the video here that when I lift my leg directly behind me, it gets hidden from this placement here. And then I'm going to externally rotate the thigh and the hip joint, try not to move my pelvis, and then you can see my knee poke out. So hopefully that helps explain it visually for you. We'll do this a couple more times. Slow movement. I'm just rotating. I'm not bringing my knee towards my arm or anything like that. Small movement, but you can start to hopefully feel those muscles waking up. Nice. Release your foot and then switch, or give a little wiggle first. Now we'll go to the other leg again. So I'm just going to rotate here, and then we're going to now bring the leg straight back. As you bring your leg straight back, keep your pelvis level, and then start to bring it towards the side and then back. And now you're going to go, whoa, wait a second. What just happened? Why did my leg get heavier? Well, because it did. Because when we had it like this, there wasn't as much weight. Now you've got the weight of your entire leg to hold, and then go to the side. Try not to let your pelvis move. Good. Try not to lean to the leg, the supporting leg that's holding you up. Try to stay upright. And I say to the side, but I am really not bringing that leg all that far to the side. So you probably won't either. And then I'll show it from over here. Let's go to the other leg. Extend it back. Keep your pelvis as it is, and then only bring your leg as far out to the side as it works for your ability. All right, and this might feel too crazy, so if it does, go back to the first variation. Out to the side. Good. We'll try to keep that pelvis level. And let's go one more time. And then release. Give a little side to side wiggle. Hopefully you're feeling here some nice strength and stability, waking up those side muscles. Now let's go over. I'm going to pop over onto my right side. And you can prop yourself up like so. I'm propping myself up onto my elbow, and I'm not going to let my ribs drop down. So this would be this nice little sort of lazy way of doing this. I'm going to lift my ribs up. I'm going to keep some space in my shoulder, and then holding this, because this is going to come in handy later where we're heading with this. But pull your ribs in. Get the obliques, so side core muscles holding you up, strength around the shoulder, and then feel like your pelvis is stacked. And then once your pelvis is stacked, your knees are stacked, your feet are stacked, and then you're going to open your knee up into what's sometimes called a clamshell. And then you're going to lower that down. And then up, slowly down. The key to this is no movement, or as little movement in your pelvis as possible. And slow and controlled. You want to get not just these outer surface muscles to work, but you want those little smaller rotator muscles, hip rotator muscles, to really kick on here. And then release. Just a couple times is good. Keep your pelvis stacked, and then lift your leg. Try to keep your knee about the same height as your ankle, and hold. Good. Now, hold this with the leg. Check back into your ribs. Plug your ribs back in. Keep the space in your shoulder joint. Don't just drop down. And then extend your leg out. So your knee is straight. Try to keep your pelvis level. And then slowly bring your foot as best you can forward without dropping it down. Try to keep your foot at the same height as your pelvis, and only bring your foot as far forward as you can keep your pelvis level, and this nice work going on. And then slowly travel it back a bit. Now when you come back, it's not going to come all that far back if you're keeping your pelvis stacked. Okay? And then bring the leg slowly forward. If having your leg extended feels like too much work, you can do the same movement, keeping your knee bent. So it's making your leg a little lighter. Good. And back. And then slowly forward. Look at that beautiful leg of yours. That's the strength and stability right here. How often in our everyday life are we having to work these outer leg muscles like this? I can't really think of a lot of everyday activities that get this going like this. So sometimes you just have to focus and put some extra love into these areas. And then release, and let's go to the other side. I'm going to flip over here. You can turn around the other way if you want. Now again, the temptation will be just to flop out like this. Resist temptation. Try to keep your ribs up. Try to, not let that shoulder joint just jam down. And if this is also some of us with our hips, with the greater trochanter here, it might feel a little bit tender. So feel free if you need blankets to support your hip bone. Otherwise, what we're going to do, stack your pelvis, and we'll do a few of those clamshells. Start to continue to wake up. It's like a sideways butterfly pose. Dynamic stretch. It doesn't matter for one moment how high your knee comes up. We are focused on keeping your pelvis stacked, so don't let look how far my knees come apart if I let my pelvis take my leg back. So the most benefit that we can get in this is not letting your pelvis move, letting your leg move, which means you're letting your hip joints, again, those little internal and external rotator muscles, kicking on. Okay, release. And then bring your leg up. So your knee and foot are about at the same height as best you can. And then start to bring that leg, hold. Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. We just want to hold. and breathe. And this might be enough, this might be great. Or you can now extend that leg straight. Good. Now, if that's too much on this side, go back to the knee bend. Check your shoulder again. Are you dropping? Check your ribs, bring them in. And then try to slowly bring your foot as far forward as you can, keeping your pelvis stacked, and then coming slowly back. Remember, if you're not letting your pelvis move back, your leg likely won't go all that far back. And then slowly try to keep your foot the same height as your pelvis. And then slowly. And then again, keep checking into that supporting shoulder. And then release, lower down. Come back up onto your hands and your knees and feel free to do a little wiggle. Notice how the hips feel. Mine are feeling pretty awake. Now, ready to take this up to standing. Now that we've prepped up our legs, we're going to move into half moon pose. And half moon pose is going to be less, in this case, it's going to be less about the balance, and though that will be an important component, it's going to be less about the balance and more about continuing to work on that lateral hip stability and strength. And I've got a little stool here. You can use yoga props, but because this is less about the balance, I find that even a yoga block is a little bit too low to the ground. So having a taller stool, the back of a chair, the back of your couch, the seat of a chair, anything that will help support your hand here will be great. So now half moon, you just want to have your, let's start, I'm on my right foot, so I'm going to have my right toes pointing straight at my little support here. And then I'm going to bend and just bend enough so that I can place my hand onto the support and simultaneously now bringing my other foot up into the air. Now, I have a previous video talking about both Warrior 3 and Half Moon. Warrior 3 is here, and then of course this is Half Moon. And a way to actually really get a sense of lightness and stability in your hip joint. So that's linked up here. You can press that button, watch that after. And in the meantime, because that will help enhance your experience that you're having right now. In the meantime now, we're holding and reaching this leg back, the leg that's in the air, reaching and actively press out through your heel. And now I like to really think about actually just pressing out through the bones of my leg, feeling my right leg, or that leg that's in the air, really moving to the wall. Good. And holding that. So for some of us, this is going to be enough. This is going to be enough for your brain. It's going to be enough for your balance today. So stay here. The next variation would be to bend your knee. And I'm going to try, just like we did with the things on the ground, the variations on the ground, we're going to try to keep our pelvis just as it is. And then the knee is bent and the foot is roughly at the same height as your knee, as much as you can tell. And then you're going to bring the knee forward without moving your pelvis, and then bring the knee back. And then knee forward. It's a slow, steady transition. Knee back. Gliding the knee forward and then back. Wow, hello balance, hello strength. And then continue. And then back. Can you extend your leg out? Nice. Okay. Now the bonus round is, can you do this with your leg straight? Ha ha. Oh, and then back, and then just like we did lying down, right? But now we're really up leveling this, doing it standing, and doing this as a variation of half moon. Hello legs. We're going to do that one more time. So I don't necessarily recommend doing this first, right? You can see how prepping the movement and body first made a big difference. Okay, come out of that. Whew, that was good work for me, and I'm going to assume that was good work for you. Now let's go to the other side and see what the other leg has to say. So we're going to come into it, toes pointing that front stool, bring your leg up. Now, you can do as many of these variations as you want. Doesn't mean just because I'm showing you different variations doesn't mean you have to be able to do all of them. Listen to your body and do the ones that feel right for you. Work your way up to the other ones, maybe and maybe not. Maybe you never do them and that's fine. We're gonna get benefits no matter what. Now, reaching that back heel, reach, 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 activate, and then bend the knee, and then travel the knee forward. Try not to move your pelvis, travel your leg back, forward. Good, slow and steady wins the race here. And I know my foot's kind of dropping, so I'm not overly concerned about keeping the perfect angle in my leg. I just want to do this so that I can maintain good stability in my pelvis and support. Okay. Now extend that leg out if you choose to, and then see how this side will feel. Bring your foot forward. Try not to lean too far back. You're going to naturally lean back to compensate for the weight of this leg, the extended leg. So try to stay as level as you can. And then slowly back. It's such good work. And then last time, bring your leg forward and then back and then slowly come down. Wow. Lateral hip strength. We can make it as much work or as little work as we need. You can keep and just do the laying down versions. If you like, that is great. And if you want to up level it, doing the standing variations is important. And like I said, I do recommend watching the videos, the previous videos where I'm talking about holding strength and stability in your hip joint, because there is a tendency, especially doing it with these variations, there's a tendency to just dump into your hip and let your ligaments hold you up rather than the strong surrounding tissues. So the combination of this work and that other video where we're talking about holding stability and strength will go a long way. And enjoy. Let me know, write comments below, share these videos if you think they're a benefit to anybody, and feel free to visit me at heartandbonesyoga.com where there's more resources. We have an online yoga studio that you can join as a monthly or yearly membership. I'd love to see you there. I also have teacher trainings, an online teacher development course. So if you're a teacher watching these videos and getting a lot out of them, think about how much more you could get in a big course with me. So there will be links for all of those below. And I thank you, as always, for being here and learning together. Thanks.